Once our XDM schema has been created, the next thing what we do is we create field groups and helps with organizing and standardizing customer experience data. What does this mean? That different kind of schemas, if they are from different sources, they may have a different kind of formats. For XDM to work, we need to come to a certain point where all the schemas have a certain format, a certain layout, or a certain blueprint which has to be followed. That is why we are using an XDM field group. So it is a reusable container that has a set of predefined fields for an XDM schema. So these field groups can be built by providers like Adobe or created by users to capture specific data points, demographic details or profile data, application details for event data. When a field group is added to a schema, all of its fields are inherited by that particular schema. So the moment you add it, it will come with a whole own set of attributes, which would automatically be added to the schema. Now we will see the process of creating field quests. This scenario we are looking at adding AEP, Web SDK Experience Event, and Consumer Experience Event. So two experience events we'll be adding at you. What we are going to do is we are going to create a field group. So now I go back to my schema here. Now in this particular schema, there is an option out here, field group add. Where is this? This coming class, field group add. I get something like okay. Now what is the next step out here is search for AEP Web SDK experience event. So this is AEP Web SDK experience event. Now do we have this here? No, I can't see this, so I'm going to search for it like so AEP Web SDK Experience Event. I added to my field group. The moment I add it, it comes out here. Okay, so now I'm able to see the field group out here AEP Web SDK Experience Event added here. So what does this do? So when I add it here, you see all these experience events, object, device, environment, all these things are getting added out. Suppose if I remove this, okay, so what is getting out here? So experience event got all details out here, which gets added out here. So basically, what is happening here is the way this is going to work is these are all predefined bucket. So which when I am going to configure this, this is going to all the data that we are earlier we would spend for everything. There would be something going to the side, but here when you are having the alloy file on the site, it will be just sending one single event, one single message, which would capture all this and put it into the different bucket. So this is what my understanding is. I may differ because I'm also experiencing this. So let's see how it works. So I've added this. Check the box. Search for consumer experience event. So next event which you are going to add out here is consumer experience events. Check the box, add field groups. So now the next one which I'm going to search out here is add it, consumer experience event. So digital content consumption data from web and mobile application. Consumer experience event. Going to check it out here and add it to my field group out here. Now there's some more things that has come in. I think something related to commerce I am able to see. Let's just close this what all happened here. So all these attributes are coming in out. So let's see this specifically, right? Application, channel, all this is happening here. So this is what's changing. Here it is device, device environment implementation details place context, user activity region, web identity map is out here. Okay, so and this one is application. After application, this channel, commerce, data source. This is coming from AEP web based. Now let's go to the next one out here. So with both field groups, now you have access to most commonly used key value pairs required for data collection on the web. The display name of each field appears to marketers with the segment builder interface of platform. When you click either field group name, the interface highlights. So this particular, if I click on the field group name, interface highlights what key value pair group it belongs to. What does it mean out here? Suppose if I click out here, that particular section will get highlighted. Let's see which one is getting highlighted. Which one is getting highlighted? There's so many of them. So this is got device experience, implementation details, space, segment list. This one would have channel, commerce, data set, data source, device, environment, marketing, media, space, content, search, web. That is what they mean by this.
All right, let's just jump right in. Look, every single business out there is basically swimming, if not drowning, in customer data. We're talking clicks, purchases, support calls, you name it, you're collecting it. But here's the thing, having all that data and actually understanding what it's telling you, those are two completely different ballgames. Today, we're going to break down the secret to turning all that data noise into real, actionable insights. So just think about it for a second. Your e-commerce system probably calls a purchase an order, but then your analytics tool calls that same exact thing a conversion. And over in your CRM, it's logged as a closed deal. If you've ever felt like your data is speaking a dozen different languages all at once, trust me, you are not alone. It is a massive headache for businesses everywhere. And this right here, this shows the problem perfectly. On the left side, you've got total data chaos. You see different systems using all these different names for the exact same concepts. Order val, price, total. It's a total translation nightmare. But then, look at the right. Clarity. Just one standard agreed upon name, like price total. This simple shift is the foundation for, well, everything else we're about to talk about. You know, every industry, heck, every company, has its own unique jargon, right? Airlines have flight numbers. Car dealers have cylinders. But when that internal jargon gets baked into your data systems, you end up creating these invisible walls, these silos. And you can't get a clear picture of your customer because you're spending all your time just trying to translate between systems. That's not insight, it's just noise. So what's the fix? How do you get all of your data to finally speak the same language? Well, what you need is a universal translator. A system that creates a common structure, a common vocabulary that everyone, and I mean every person and every system, can understand right out of the box. And that universal translator? It actually has a name, the Experience Data Model, or as you'll hear it called, XDM. To put it simply, XDM is the framework that Adobe created to standardize all that messy customer experience data. Think of it as the official rulebook for your data's grammar and vocabulary. You know, a really great way to think about XDM is like a shared blueprint for a house. If every single contractor on the job site has the same blueprint, they all know exactly where the walls go, where the plumbing needs to run, and what defines a door. XDM does the exact same thing, but for your data. It makes sure that when you say total price, every system in your company knows precisely what you mean, no guesswork. And here's what that blueprint looks like in the real world. This is a pretty simple model of a customer's order. But just notice how clearly everything is defined. You've got the order, which has a price total, a currency code, and details about the payments. It even breaks down how the person paid, part with a gift card, part with a credit card. It's completely unambiguous. Any system that reads this data knows exactly what it represents. Now, once you get this kind of standardization in place across your organization, something really incredible starts to happen. And honestly, it feels a little bit like magic. But it's not magic, it's just the power of finally having a common language. The source material really puts it perfectly. It says that when you get everyone on the same page modeling their data in a consistent way, that's when you'll unlock its true potential.
That's when magical things happen. So, what are these magical things they're talking about?
Let's break it down. What's the magic? Well, first off, your data can finally flow freely between departments and systems. No more wasting time on manual translation. Your machine learning models get smarter, instantly, because they're not burning cycles trying to guess what your data means. Building new dashboards and tools becomes way faster, and integrating with partners who also use the same standard, that becomes practically plug and play.
So here's the most important takeaway. This isn't just about having clean data for the sake of being tidy. No way. This standardization is the actual key that unlocks the most powerful applications you can imagine. You literally can't build a true real-time 360-degree customer profile or analyze a complete customer journey if your data is a fragmented mess. XDM is what makes it all possible.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually build one of these data blueprints, or schemas, as they're officially called? Well, the good news is, it's a lot more like playing with building blocks than it is writing code from scratch.
It's really just a simple three-step process. First, you lay the foundation by choosing a base class that defines what kind of data you're dealing with. For example, is it a customer action, like a page view or a click? That's an experience event. Easy. Second, you start adding the building blocks. These are pre-built sets of fields called field groups for all the common stuff, like web page details or purchase info. And finally, you just give your new blueprint a name, save it, and boom, it's ready to be used.
Now, one of the most important building blocks you're going to use is something called the identity map. The absolute best way to think about this is as a digital ID card for every single user. It holds all of their different identifiers in one neat little package, like their anonymous browser ID from one visit and their logged-in customer ID from another. This is the magic piece that lets you connect all the dots and see a single unified customer journey, even when they're hopping between devices. It is absolutely essential.
Okay. And here is a very, very important warning, so please listen closely. When you build a schema, you have an option to enable it for profile. Doing this means its data will be used to build those unified customer profiles we just talked about. But you have to be so careful here. Once you flip that switch and save it, it cannot be undone. You can't disable it, you can't delete it, it's a one-way street. So you really need to plan carefully before you commit to that.
So let's kind of wrap this all up. What's the big idea here? What's the main takeaway? It's really about taking your data and supercharging it. You see, adopting a standardized model like XDM isn't just some technical requirement you can check off a list for your IT team. No, it's a fundamental business strategy. It's the conscious decision to stop letting your data sit around in confusing, disconnected silos and start unlocking the massive, massive value that's hidden inside it.
When you get right down to it, this whole process transforms your data from something you just have, a chaotic liability that actually costs you money to store, into your organization's single most powerful asset for truly understanding and serving your customers.
So, I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. If all the data in every corner of your organization spoke one single common language, what incredible customer experiences could you build? What game-changing insights could you uncover?